This is Too Far Enterprises, and I'd like to direct your attention to a story written by, it looks like, Jahan Jones. And this was a day ago. I got it from off of MSNBC, I believe. And it's talking about Reggie Jackson, of which we know lately he was asked a question by Alex Rodriguez about coming back to a stadium that he previously played in when he was younger, and in the days when certain people couldn't go into white bathrooms and so forth. And his honesty, his directness, his truthfulness, and I'm talking about Mr. Reggie Jackson, was just something to behold. It's very seldom you see athletes, celebrities, and people of the like, especially our legislative, I wouldn't even call them candidates or representatives, because they're not representing their community. They represent themselves. And I'd like to find out why they do that, because I'm quite sure it's a monetary reason. But getting back to what I was saying, in this story written, I didn't realize that also Emmitt Smith had joined in on his platform, and Reggie Jackson and Emmitt Smith Race Talk Refuses to Let America Forget Its Past is the title of the story. But why in the world would we let America forget racism? But more than that, let's be truthful. They used to have picnics at black people hangings. They even brought children there, okay? Not to mention torture and burnings and burying whole cities and all the other things that America has done to this one group of people. I would like to say what I wanted to say, but I'm not. Because this group of people whom Mr. Reggie Jackson has exemplified as a black man, are an example of how we should conduct ourselves, and in his playing days and as a retired man. They ask the right person at the right time the right question. They don't make them like they used to. I mean, it seems like men with each generation seem to get weaker. And I'm not talking about strength-wise. I'm talking about mentally, emotionally, spiritually, courageously. This man was a lion in baseball, and he's a lion in life. And he will go down as a lion in retirement. Someone to be proud of then and now. Love you, black man, Mr. Reggie Jackson. You have just given an example, especially to the black community, for everyone to follow. And let's get back to the story. It's been interesting to watch NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith and Major League Baseball Hall of Famer Reggie Jackson use their platforms in recent weeks to shine light on the intersection of sports and racism. Sometimes the public lionizes star athletes as though they're superhuman figures who somehow transcend race or rise above the harms of racism. But Smith and Jackson are dispelling that myth. They're acknowledging what happened. Jackson went viral last week with his remarks he made during a MLB broadcast from Alabama's Rickwood Field, the oldest professional ballpark in the United States and the former home of the Negro Leagues Birmingham Black Barons. Reggie Jackson played at the stadium when he was on Birmingham's Double-A team in 1967. And when Major League Baseball great Alex Rodriguez asked him how he felt about returning, Jackson spoke of the racism he experienced. Alex, when people ask me a question like that, it's like coming back here is not easy. Jackson went on to say he wouldn't wish on anybody the racism that he experienced when he played in Birmingham, and said he never would want to do it again. I'd walk into restaurants and they would point me out at and say that N could not eat here. I would go to a hotel and they would say that N can't stay here. Jackson explained. He also discussed the murderous Ku Klux Klan impunity in Alabama at that time. It wasn't only in Alabama, though. Last week, Jackson attended a luncheon in honor of the Negro Leagues where he told a story of a time when iconic football coach Bear Bryant, racist to the max, referred to him using a racial epithet. Emmitt Smith, the Dallas Cowboys great, was moved by Jackson's honesty. Smith, who attended the University of Florida and has been outspoken in denouncing Florida's assault on diversity programs, said in a written statement posted on social media that Jackson's recollection reinforces why DEI programs, and that's diversity programs, equity programs, inclusion programs, and initiatives must exist. Smith has previously encouraged Florida athletes and others associated with athletics in the state to use their leverage to support these programs. Smith continued to argue for the value of such efforts. People with power, money, and influence must acknowledge these horrifying times when America failed Black and brown people to dismantle the systematic racial systems that still exist today, he wrote. These stories must be heard so we don't continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. These programs, these DEI programs, work must continue to build a better America. Now, when he said this, and this is talking about Emmitt Smith, is the only reason why he's talking about it is because there's another run on the Black culture and of people of color not having access to the programs, the universities, and the education that they need to be successful in America. Okay? Now, and I would not just say America, but to be successful in their communities and life and the world. Okay? We have too many uneducated rich people. And another thing I wanted to say, you will blank out when somebody wants to say the N-word, but in rappers and in certain social media platforms, certain people get to use the N-word when they shouldn't do it. But as long as it's demonized in the Black culture, you will let them use the N-word. When you won't let them use the J-word and a lot of other words. And so people need to realize when you're being played, okay? Now, when certain people are actually writing or speaking or rapping the correct narrative associated with how the majority feels, it's okay. But it's not okay in our community, and it's not okay nowhere else. This is Too Far Enterprises.